From Sigma Woman, this is the Business for Aligned Women podcast. I'm your host, Clara McKay, your aligned business coach and advocate for all things showing up for your vision. This is a no BS space for brave-hearted women who are actually craving change. I'm dedicated to bringing women's visions into reality, equipping women with all they need to build an abundant future, and shutting down all of the ways that you keep yourself small. Here, we're all about a women-centered approach, non-negotiable value alignment, and making bank without compromising your well-being. Each week, you're already one step closer to your most aligned and abundant future. Welcome to this week's episode. Again, this week is going to be a little bit different, and this episode is not for everyone. And I'm essentially going to be listing through the things that I have overcome to create my business and why it's not easier for me. I know a lot of people project onto me that I've never had adversity, and this is definitely not a space for me to whine, and this is not a space for me to ask for sympathy from anyone. And if you listen to this and you want to send me a sympathetic message, I'll actually ask you, please don't do that, because I won't like it. And that's not what this is about. This episode is also not a trauma competition or a trauma fight. I'm doing this really intentionally to expand some of your perception as to what you're capable of. Because a lot of you think that you can't do things because you don't have certain supports, or you have things going on in your life, or you've got adversities, or you've got injuries, you've got issues, or whatever it is. And I just want you to see that you can go through a lot and you can choose to move on, and you can choose to grow from it, and you can choose to not make it dictate your future. And that's absolutely something that I'm pretty good at. And I'm going to give you a long list of things. And some of these things just happened to me, and it's just something that I had to process. And some of these things have caused daily pain that I need to deal with in my business every single day. And I still show up every single day despite them. And I think some of you need to hear that. And maybe also, I know that at times when I've shared some of this stuff, it's actually made some of you decide to coach with me. And this isn't an episode to try to convince you to coach with me. And to be honest, I have probably avoided talking about this stuff because I thought it would do the opposite. It would put you off. And I'm doing it because some of you might go, wow, I've been through that as well. So she's going to understand my experience as much as a person can. And then she's going to be the coach for me, because we will just see the world in a certain way. So that's why I'm doing this. And I'm doing this hopefully mainly as an expansion. And I want to say that recording this episode is not easy for me. And it's something that I have recorded and not published multiple times over the last 4 years. But hopefully this time it makes it to your ears. There's probably trigger warnings in here: grief and domestic violence, cancer. I think that's it. But if you're running any huge triggers, I probably would just skip this one and move on to the next one. With all that in mind, well, while you're mentally preparing yourself for this episode, maybe you want to jump on a call with me to see if coaching is for you, and to see if you're ready to move past all of the stories and all of the stuff and all the reasons why not to, and to step into your fullest potential and the capability that I know you have, and the future that I know is waiting for you to claim it. And you can chat with me and we can see how I can help you get there. Before we get in there, let's hear from Taylor, who is a naturopath, and her experience of her 10-week aligned business intensive. She says, just do it. It's invaluable. It will save you so much time and fluffing around. If you know nothing of business but have a service you want to provide, getting support is just a no-brainer from someone who knows business. You don't even know what you don't know, but afterwards you think, how on earth was I doing it before? And I love that. All right, so I do also want to say that I am doing this podcast at this time because I got feedback from multiple people on that vulnerable post I did a little while ago about someone infringing on my intellectual property rights, and the big drama around that, and what I did and how I supported myself. And I got some feedback from people saying that they really loved seeing that vulnerable side of me, and I'm trying to be more vulnerable and all that jazz. So I just want to share the things that I have overcome, and despite it all, still have grown my business and still shown up for my business every day. Because I think as a general rule, I don't overshare and I don't trauma dump on the internet. I try not to. And that's also why I'm not going to go into any specific detail today. You're not going to hear any details. You're just going to hear top level. And I think the fact that I don't do that leaves a lot of room for interpretation and a lot of room for projection. And a lot of people think things about me. I don't know, maybe I got financial assistance to build my business. Maybe someone's paying my rent, like all this kind of stuff that isn't true. And I just want to expand you, especially if you've come from a really poor background, if you have a lot of scarcity mentality, like, babe, if I can do it, you can do it as well, like from the bottom of my heart. I want to outline what I've overcome to get where I am today and to build a multiple six-figure business that is aligned with my values, that is burnout proof, that is sustainable, and that is impact driven, that feels good and supports other women. And if you don't know, that's the main driver of my business, the main reason why I have started it. So I have built my business despite growing up extremely poor. I grew up in the lowest socioeconomic region in my state. And I left home before I turned 16 because it was better for my mental health to not stay at home. So I have been on my own for like, I don't know, almost 20 years. Yeah, 17 years. Probably longer than that. I'm terrible at maths. 17 years. Probably longer than that. I'm terrible at maths. That's another thing I've got over. Introducing Sigma Studio for aligned, considered, and resonant branding. We create beautiful and functional brands. We're offering branding for women-led businesses and creative endeavors. It's sustainably priced and via the strategic lens of a business consultant with over 5 years experience. We will visually speak directly to your ideal client. We've taken the time to listen and understand what you need to make running your business and creating content easeful. We give you everything you need and don't ask you to pay for anything that you won't actually use. We make beautiful, intentionally positioned brands that resonate with you and your clients to help you step into your highest power and grace as a business owner. I have not ever got 1 cent of financial support in my business ever from anyone. Not partner, not parents. Never has a single soul given me $1 to grow my business. I also suffered a ton of loss. I've been through a ton of grief, a ton of loss. I'm just going to say mostly from important women in my life in my 20s. I also, which I know a lot of you have experienced, and I feel for you, I was in a domestic violence relationship with a covert narcissist for on and off for 4 years in my 20s, which has had ongoing physical and mental impacts on me, especially just if anyone's been in that situation that you're just in fight or flight 24 hours a day for 4 years, and that fucks everything. That fucks your nervous system, it fucks your hormones, it fucks everything. And so I have been having to heal in all the ways from that since then. I have, for the last, I think it's actually 14 years, but I've written in my notes 12 years. I've had pretty much daily excruciating pain from a spinal injury because I got hit by a car when I was 23 or something like that. Yeah, 23. I was riding a bike and I got hit by a car, and the car, my head wedged underneath between the wheel and the tire, and that person did go to jail. Yes, justice. But that has meant that I'm in agony every day. And I have prescription drugs that I need to take, but I don't take them because they have terrible side effects. And I just don't want to have spinal surgery. It feels like such a huge risk, especially being a cervical spinal injury at the very top of my spine. Yeah, like a lot of people will tell me that they can't show up in business because of chronic pain. And I'm not saying I can do it, so what are you on about? I'm saying, hey, it is possible. There are ways of doing things that aren't going to exacerbate issues. Yeah. There's always a way to massage it to make it work for you. I know all my naturopath followers are going to jump in on this. Please don't DM me. Please know that I have sought all the naturopathic care and I did it all naturally, and I've tried everything. For the last 5 years, every second month, I've had extremely bad ovulation pain to the point of barely being able to walk for 5 full days. I think there's a bit of light at the end of the tunnel with that situation. And there's also a lot of energetics going on behind it that I might do an episode on later. But yes, naturopaths, I did see naturopaths, I did see women's health. In the end, it got to the point that need physical medical intervention, or traditional medical intervention, I should say. But I still showed up for my work in that time, not because I'm like a hard ass or anything like that, but because if you're committed to your business, it's just what you do. This is a big one. And this sometimes makes it hard for me to see compassion when my clients come to me with really trivial excuses. So I know that there is a 400% increased likelihood that at any point in time now, from this age onwards, I could develop the cancer that killed my mother. And if I do, I'll have less than 30 days to live. Yeah, so you wonder why I talk about stoicism so much, because if I didn't have stoicism, I don't know that my brain could actually compute that is something that I'm up against every day. But leaving that aside, I've built my business despite having the worst financial scarcity mentality that has ever existed on planet Earth. I don't think you understand. You have no idea my level of scarcity. My biggest fear is that I'm going to become homeless, and I think about it all the time, and that is not logical. It's not normal. Yes, I've seen a therapist about it, but I know a lot of you don't invest in things and don't go out on a limb in your business because of that. And I just want you to know, sweetheart, a lot of us have it, and you just have to keep going. This is also another really big one. I built my business despite no one believing in it. No one believed in this. Not a single person believed in this. I can think of one friend who I met as a client at the start of my business who probably believed in it from the get-go. Not a single other soul in my life. Not my parents, not my partner, not my friends. No one believed in it, and people actively told me to go and get a real job, but I still did it. And I know for a lot of you, that's a big thing that's holding you back. I have also built this business despite being neurodivergent, late diagnosed autism, and having what's called Erlen syndrome, which a lot of you probably don't know about, and you probably wouldn't think that I would have it because I'm very like wordy and ready and stuff, but it's kind of like dyslexia, and it's why I have so many typos in my content. So I have had people send me feedback about my typos, and yes, I do read it over and I do slow down, but my brain literally jumbles the words up. So now when you see my typos, hopefully you can give me a little bit more compassion and not send me unsolicited DMs. I have also grown my business again, despite everyone close to me never supporting it, and everyone close to me treating it like it was a joke and telling me to get a real job. And I've had conversations with you guys over the last few months. You've been in tears with me on calls about this. And I just want you to know most women do deal with that. That is part of taking up space in the world as a woman, unfortunately. I've built it also despite going through really competitive and unsupportive friendships with jealous women who were also trying to grow their own businesses. And thank God they're all gone, where I'm not dealing with any of that. I cut all that off really quickly. But that was also very awful because I am not a competitive person. There's no competitive bone in my body. Try to get me to play a board game probably won't be fun. And it's awful to be on the receiving end of that. And look, there's probably more than this list, but these were the major things that I can remember. There's probably a lot that I can't remember, honestly. But I wanted to share this because despite all of this, I still post upwards of 12 times a day in my business, and I'm still able to develop consistency. And again, it isn't a trauma war, it isn't a competition, but it is to be expansive, that if I can do this with all of this stuff going on, so can you. And it is to say that when you come to me with slightly more trivial excuses as to why you're scared to post on social media, sometimes I struggle to find compassion in the moment. You've got the context now as to why that is. Now you have the full picture. Now you've seen behind the curtain. No, it is not easier for me. We can do hard things. We can do incredibly difficult things. Stepping into your fullest potential, Stepping into an income and an impact that you never dreamt of is very unlikely to feel comfortable, and it will probably feel quite hard most of the time. But the reward at the end of the day and the return on the investment is so worth it. I hope I haven't opened any wounds with this episode. If I have, please take care of yourself, go for a walk, buy yourself a piece of cake, whatever you need to do. But I also hope this has expanded you to know that if you've got stuff going on and it feels insurmountable, your business can actually be a place of safety that you can create for yourself. And that can be a really wonderful and beautiful thing. If you can't tell, getting to share this time with you is something that I find truly sacred. I know that you're busy, but if you've taken anything away from our time spent together today, could you extend the love and share this episode with a friend, your community, or on your socials? Tag me so that I can see it and I can share it too. Or when you have a spare moment, leave the podcast for a review. These things cost you nothing and will mean so much to me. Let's get this resource into the hands of more women visionaries and help us collectively move towards our most aligned way of being and doing business together.